For some 1600 years since the destruction of the Nalanda University, we've not been great shakes in education, certainly not world class. But in the 21st century, it's got worse. Indian education has plumbed new depths, literally hitting the basement, as in Delhi last week. If you think 3 civil service aspirants drowning in the basement of a building in Delhi is the shameful depth of India's education and coaching industry, one must take a look at its horrible breadth. One person holds 32 faculty posts, 211 filled 2,500 vacancies, Anna University rocked by phantom professors in colleges. If you didn't get that, it goes like this. There are criteria like the number of full-time professors, PhD holders, and the quality of infrastructure that are required for college approvals and ratings. To comply with those norms and yet not pay so much salaries, some colleges resort to having non-existent professors on their rolls. What an idea, Sirji, to make tons of money, blatantly betray students, and sabotage and wreck a whole nation. Take a look at some of the numbers to see how India's students are caught between the devil and the deep sea. India's education industry, yes, it's an industry, mostly about making money, was valued at $117 billion in 2020 and is estimated to nearly double to $225 billion in 2025. That's next year. And the customers of that industry, our students, get such a raw deal that youth unemployment is turning out to be the elephant in India's room. The International Labour Organization's India Employment Report 2024 says that out of the total population of unemployed, the share of youth unemployed is 82.9%. Visualize that. When 83% of the unemployed of a locality, town, or nation are youth, it is a ticking time bomb. Last year, the Japan Times carried this report by Bloomberg. In India, poor quality degrees create an unemployable generation. The report said business is booming in India's $117 billion education industry, but thousands of Indians are graduating with limited or no skills at a pivotal moment of growth. Half of all graduates in India are unemployable in future due to problems in the education system, according to a study by talent assessment firm VBox. Now, what does that lead to? Businesses say they struggle to hire. What an irony! The world's most populous country, with the most number of youth, struggle to supply sufficient and suitable hands for businesses and industry. Given the dire picture, India's youth would expect the government to lend a hand. But sorry, there are no signs of that happening at the moment. The National Education Policy 2020 had envisaged lifting India's education spend from around 2.9% of GDP to 6%. But 4 years later, we still are spending less than 3% of GDP on education. To feel the pain and pressure of India's poorly educated and unemployed masses, one must look at the scenario from their shoes. This year, there were 2.3 million aspirants for the National Eligibility cum Entrance tests for some 100,000 medical seats. There were 1.4 million aspirants for the 60,000 odd engineering seats writing the joint entrance examination. And there were 1.1 million aspirants for the UGC-NET examination, or the University Grants Commission's National Eligibility Test. Imagine how many millions of hearts are broken when the NEET and NET exams have question paper leaks and the UGC-NET is ordered to be conducted again. India's education is largely seen as a process to acquire degrees, which are increasingly seen as being worthless. India has some 68,000 coaching centers, which promise youth admission to these same courses, at the end of which, when they don't get jobs, they go back to these coaching centers to try and get government jobs. Naturally, hundreds of thousands of India's youth feel that to save themselves and their families, they must exit the country. The latest numbers are out. This week, the Rajya Sabha was informed that there are 1.33 million Indians studying abroad, up almost exactly 100% from 675,541 students in 2019. News 18 put the plight of those left in India succinctly when it headlined, "Tragedy of India's Students, Caught Between a Failing Education System and Cruel Coaching Industry." News 18's Sanbir Singh Ranhotra wrote, there are over 68,000 coaching institutes in India, all of them overselling the dream of successful career to millions of students. Also, don't forget that in India's coaching capital Kota, Rajasthan, nearly 130 students have taken their lives since 2015. One had thought India's education had hit rock bottom. Now it has hit the basement. To drown in drain waters in the basement of a building in the national capital while aiming to be part of the country's administration is the pits. Forgive us and rest in peace, Shreya Yadav, Tanya Soni, and Nivin Dalvin. We cheated you, betrayed you, and drowned you. For those who survived the incident and millions of other youths, we have shifted the goalpost and are now offering a new dream. We'll be a developed country by 2047. Before I sign off, one consolation about India's youth going abroad is the sterling contribution they make elsewhere. Like George Matthew, an 84-year-old doctor who studied at the Trivandrum Medical College and later in England and at the Harvard. He reached what is now the UAE in 1967 and was the first government doctor in Al Ain. In recognition of his dedication and hard work, he and his family were given UAE citizenship in 2004. And last fortnight, a street was named after him, the George Matthew Street in Abu Dhabi. Indian education of the 1950s and 1960s benefiting the UAE.